Welcome to the wardrobe construction class, section 4, and now we're going to talk about fabric. This was specifically by request from several of my friends and associates. When I told them I was going to be doing this, they told me, please, please, please make sure to cover fabric. So first you have written discussion about fabric. And second, I'd like to give you a little bit more detail, a little bit more feel. Because I'm wearing a silk dress, we're going to start with silk. This very, very light silk dress is what I call washable silk. Would I ever throw this in the washing machine? No. No, 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 no. No. It gets hand washed. It gets dried, line dried, out of direct sunshine, because sunshine rots silk. This silk is dry clean only. And there's a few reasons why that's dry clean only. First of all, the silk matka dissolves in water, absolutely dissolves in water. So I took a little bit of it because he said it's a fabric scrap. And before I did anything with it, I tested it to see whether I was going to be able to wash it or not. Nope. 1. 2. The silk that's used in there is not dye fast, and I instantly had a whole bunch of color going on in the water sample as well. Silk tends to be not nearly as dye fast as other fabrics, even in washable silks. Other silks that are absolutely not washable is going to be anything with silk brocade, a high sheen silk satin. That's something you don't even want to get a drop of water on because it will stain. I believe that has something to do with the process of making them, the salts and things that they use on that to get that high shine. They don't respond well to water. But basically, silk and wool are like hair. They are hair. They're animal fiber. Well, wool is literally hair, and silk is fiber that a silkworm produces. So you're thinking, what am I going to wash my silk in? Yes, you can buy silk wash. You can also use, shampoo. Nice shampoo. So if you can wash your hair with it, you can wash your silk with it. If it's washable silk, again, when in doubt, silk does not forgive. So when in doubt, the silk goes to the dry cleaner. Now, that specific discussion on silk aside, what are we kind of looking for when we're looking for fabric? We're looking for drape. And unfortunately, drape is not something that can be taught online. Drape is something you have to learn in your hand. In general, a longer fiber is going to give you a more beautiful drape. It's also going to give you a higher quality fabric of any type of fabric because that longer staple of the fabric, it's going to cause less pilling, less fraying. There's going to be less to, get caught and get raggedy and start wearing off. As if they have a long fiber, then when you have the thread, spun of that fiber, there's going to be fewer little fuzzies coming out. Okay? So it's just going to be smoother, it's going to be softer, it's going to have a softer drape. Now, how heavy or how light you want your fabric to be depends on its usage. This is thinner than a handkerchief. I have to wear a slip underneath it. It is, I could say it's paper thin, but it is in fact thinner than paper, which gives it a beautiful fluid drape. But silk drapes, even silk matka drapes, even woven, that's part of what we love about it. What are you looking for, in wool? Let's talk about what you might be looking for. And if you're looking for a summer garment, you are looking for a lightweight garment. You are looking for that fluidity, that softness. You're always looking for a certain softness in any fabric, except perhaps a denim or canvas, very utility fabric situation. Everything should have a softness to it. That doesn't mean it should be thin. One of the great sorrows of this universe is seeing what they have done to cashmere. I am old enough to remember when cashmere sweaters were a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch thick. Now, very often I can see through them. You should not have to wear a camisole under a cashmere sweater. Wearing one under a silk blouse is one thing. Under a cashmere sweater is entirely another. Your sweaters should have body. They should be opaque. Because what's the purpose of the sweater? The purpose of a sweater is to keep you warm. So think about that. Good fabric will be pleasing in the hand. Again, that's why it's very difficult to teach truly quality fabric when you're not in person, when you don't have the opportunity to touch. One of the best pieces of advice Lauren Messiah ever gave us was to take ourselves off to a high-end store, and she wanted us to just hang out and get the vibes. Great. Also, when you're there, go touch the clothes. Look at them. Look at the way they're constructed. Look at the way they drape. You know what doesn't happen? Slacks in a high-end store don't bounce because they're not made of bouncy polyester. Your work slacks should not bounce unless perhaps you are in the circus. Yes, I really hate polyester. I have a very few items that are polyester that I just fell in love with a print or something else. I believe it has very little place. It causes a lot of pollution and waste. It does not biodegrade. This dress will eventually rot away to absolutely nothing. The silk matka, likewise. Even that beautiful heavy wool sweater, eventually it'll be nothing. But the only thing you're going to get from a polyester pair of pants is a progressive shredding into smaller and smaller pieces of plastic. Hello, microplastic pollution. It might become unusable, but it's never going to go away. So no, I'm not going to be fair to polyester. Other fabric suggestions, I really do think that the closer to natural, the better. Rayons have improved a great deal, but do remember that rayons are heavily treated to have the drape that they have. The original fabric is wood pulp. So if you are unkind to your rayon, you will end up with paper, which could rip. It can become crispy, it can tear, it can discolor. You must be kind to your rayon. And then also be mindful, again, it has to go through a lot of chemical processing. Yes, it sounds amazing to think that your bamboo makes clothes, but the only way bamboo is going to drape is if you send it through a whole lot of chemicals. So, yes, the bamboo part is very renewable. The part where the bamboo becomes clothing is not super renewable. Just a thought. And of course you can look into other things, cotton, often uses a lot of water as it's grown, and it's the bleaching, etc., etc. You can look into this if you want to get into it, but and it does matter. What you buy matters. It's far, far better to spend all this time learning about your clothes, learning who you are, and then buying less. This dress I bought last week. I bought it from a thrift shop. Some fool hadn't even worn it. I'm a lucky, lucky woman. This still had the tags on it. I will very carefully hand wash this, and not too often. It will, based on experience, last me 2-3 years, maybe longer, before it's no longer of good quality and I need to dispose of it. Think about that. If every one of your garments lasted you for years, if you were so careful that what you have in your closet stayed there because you kept it nice, and this is fabric, just be kind to your fabrics. If everything you had was kept nice, if you liked it enough to keep it nice, you would just use less. And that is the first part of the recycle mantra, is it not? Reduce. Reuse. Recycle. So, learning how to do this whole wardrobe construction will help you reduce in a very substantial way. What else should you know about fabric? It should be fluid. It should feel good in the hand. Warmer clothes should be lined. You know, when things are lined, you know, the lining should match the garment in feel. You know, it should be appropriate to the garment. It should hang nicely inside the garment. What else? I mean, you can look the details of that up online, but it should feel good. It should feel cohesive. Again, so much of fabric and clothing is hands. These are the things your hands will teach you. Go forth. Find good clothing and touch it. So you can either go to a high-end store or you can look up very old clothing and touch that, because it was made more carefully for the largest part, and it will feel different. So, less of very good things. You will pay more. Sometimes. And that's sort of odd, because like you can always find linen. Every summer they have linen coming out the ears. Grab it. Linen can take a lot of abuse, and once it's dead, you can throw it on your compost pile. It will rot away. I had an experience where I tried that the first time, and I threw one of my garments in the compost pile, and the only thing, I took the buttons and zipper off. The only thing left was the interfacing. Like 6 months later, it came back, and so I could see, because the polyester interfacing, I'd see this little shadow of interfacing. It was kind of crazy. It looked like a cocoon. Things to think about. So this is something that you're keeping on your skin. Obviously, it should feel good. Anything worn against your skin should be soft. Fine woolens feel lovely. Silk obviously feels good. Fine cotton should feel lovely. Fine linens are nice. Linen is antimicrobial. It has a lot of positive aspects. The better quality your fabric, the longer your garment will last, the better chances you have of keeping it nice, because you will actually like it. And then in the write-up, of course, right in front of you, you can see there are pages more of detail about fabric.